In the Middle East, the war of words is intensifying between Israel and Iran, and preparations for a military conflict are growing. Here's the headline from the Times of Israel. Russia said to be delivering advanced air defenses to Iran as Tehran touts ties. The development came with the Middle East on edge as the expectation of a direct Iranian attack on Israel as revenge for Israel's alleged assassination of Hamas political leader Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran on July the 31st. Iran says Israel must be punished for Haniyeh's assassination and has vowed to take action, raising worries that its responses could bring the rest of Middle East closer to all-out war. Iranian proxy group Hezbollah has also threatened to hit Israel from Lebanon following the assassination of its military leader Farouk Shakur in an attack near Beirut last week, which was claimed by Israel. Today, during the funeral of that Hezbollah leader, Farouk Shakur, which was attended by other Hezbollah leaders who are alive, Israeli military warplanes deliberately flew low over Beirut, creating massive sonic booms, which scared the hell out of a lot of people. Watch. The Israeli message about its military reach and firepower seemed clear. One of the Hezbollah leaders who was at that funeral called the Israeli tactics juvenile. Iran, though, is also sending messages as open source intelligence defender posted on X. Since this weekend, U.S. intelligence officials have observed the Iranian armed forces conducting military drills as well as the movement of Iranian transporter erector launchers, TELs, armed with missiles around the country, indicating preparations for an attack against Israel. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that Iran has told Arab diplomats that it doesn't care if the Iranian response leads to full-fledged war with Israel. However, the Biden administration, through back channels, has reportedly been trying to convince Iran that Israel's Netanyahu wants this war and that Iran should not take the bait. The Wall Street Journal is reporting the U.S. asked European and other partner governments to convey a message to Iran not to escalate, warning that any significant strike would draw a response and signaling that efforts by Iran's new president to improve engagement with the West would have a better chance if Iran shows restraint. Adding to the idea that Israel will not be restrained in its response to Iran, an Israeli writer with ties to the Netanyahu government posted on X, Israel has passed on a message to Tehran via a European country. Any attack on Israeli civilians will result in an immediate and complete destruction of all of Iran's nuclear facilities. Not sure why we're waiting for them to attack. Yes, there are some supporters of the hardline right-wing government led by Netanyahu who think that there should be some sort of preemptive strike by Israel against Iran. But at the same time, polls show that nearly half of the Israeli population opposes Netanyahu, feels that his actions towards Iran have been recklessly provocative, and also oppose how Netanyahu has led the war in Gaza. Here's the report from CBS.
Israeli police clash with protesters in Tel Aviv, where not even the threat of an Iranian attack could keep them off the streets. They accuse their prime minister of choosing escalation over a hostage deal. But Netanyahu remains defiant and says former Israeli diplomat Alon Pincus increasingly at odds with the US.
He's gone completely rogue, meaning untethered from reality, intent on igniting a regional war, defying the military, defying President Biden.
In other words, you have Israeli diplomats and perhaps even the Biden administration signaling to European allies and hopefully to Iran that they believe that Netanyahu is a madman and that the Netanyahu response to any Iranian attack could be, well, it could be extreme. Some diplomats, according to multiple reports, believe that this has caused Iran to pause the attack that was expected to have already happened by now.
Hey, don't scroll away. Come back. Because before the video continues, we just want to urge you to lend your support to TYT. You power our honest reporting. You do it at tyt.com/team, and we love you for it.
Now, in April, you may remember that Iran launched cruise missiles and drones at Israel in response to Israel killing 2 Iranian generals in Syria who were helping a terror proxy group there. This time, the Iranian response is expected to be more of a surprise and longer lasting, perhaps in waves over several days. And as Iran attacks, if in fact it does attack, the question then becomes, what will Israel do in response? Cenk?
Yeah, so this is on a day that is super hopeful, super dark spot. And relating it to domestic politics for a second, this is the one thing that could cost the Democrats the election. So I'll come back to that in a second. First, Netanyahu's lunatic government. So they say, okay, well, we assassinated a top leader in the middle of Tehran. We bombed Beirut and killed the top Iranian general and a Hezbollah leader. They killed 2 Iranian generals earlier, actually. So we get to kill you everywhere, and we get to bomb any capital we want. We get to start any wars we like. But if Iran counters, how dare you? Remember, we're the boss of you. We could violate your sovereignty, humiliate you in front of your population and in the world, and you don't get to respond. And if you do, and you kill 1 civilian, their munitions are not that precise at all. There's no counterattack that wouldn't kill a civilian unless they completely missed. If you kill 1 civilian, we're going to do a full assault and an invasion of Iran. Well, okay. Well, if you're a goddamn lunatic, there's nothing I could do to help you. And so that is a disastrous war. America should have no part in it. But the reality, you know what Washington's like. So Kamala Harris is going to be in an impossible situation where if she doesn't back Israel 100% when Iran is launching bombs at Israel, everyone on TV, everyone in the media, everyone in politics will say, oh, this is outrageous, outrageous, poor Israel has to be defended. Of course we should be in the middle of a giant war in the Middle East. We should try to help Netanyahu start World War III? No. The reality is it's not impossible. Biden team could do it right now. What they could do is instead of going to Iran, oh, please don't attack. You know, Netanyahu's actually a madman. Okay, if he's a madman, then why do we just give him $26 billion? What's wrong with us? Why would we give a raging lunatic warmonger $26 billion to start these stupid wars? Okay, how about this? Well, how about the administration says, that's it. You do one more goddamn bombing of a foreign country and we cut all funding to Israel. Oh no, you can't do that. Then our ally couldn't get us into World War III. Yes, exactly. Does Kamala Harris have the courage to do that? I doubt it. If she does, she would win the election. But if she doesn't, then that albatross is going to go right around everybody's neck on the Democratic Party, and it's going to drag them down to the abyss. And then Netanyahu is going to laugh his ass off. He's going to get a bigger warmonger, Donald Trump, in, and together they're going to start God knows what. And meanwhile, the evangelical Christians in America will be like, yes, Armageddon's starting. By the way, while Donald Trump is still pretending to be anti-war. So why don't you stick him with the war? Have him attack you and go, she's not supporting Israel enough. We should be in the middle of a giant war in the Middle East. Let Trump make that case, then we win. And Israel, look, the only way that you help Israel and you save Israel is to get this lunatic out. Starting a giant war where Israel is fighting all of, not just Arab countries now, Iran's not even Arab, they're Persian. Now the president of Turkey is talking about, look man, if you start a war, I'm not just gonna sit around here and let you slaughter all the Muslims in the area. Now they're gonna drag in a NATO ally against them? No, yeah, I believe the American officials. Netanyahu is actually, like literally a lunatic. Stop giving him a blank check. You're not helping Israel, let alone the world. You're enabling a madman that is obviously wrong, but I know, on the other hand, AIPAC.
And enabling a madman who, by the way, no country replaces their leader at the start of a war. It just doesn't happen. So Netanyahu's power only grows if in fact there is a prolonged war with Iran. But the reason for being optimistic on this day, Cenk, is that, as I mentioned, polls show that half of the Israeli population does not like Netanyahu and feels like some of them feel that he's a war criminal. And there's been some terrific reporting that's been done that shows that the tensions that Netanyahu has had with Biden, who has privately expressed exasperation with these attacks, reflect the same argument that Netanyahu has heard from his own military commanders who say, taking out these terrorist leaders, yes, we want to do it, but doing it in Tehran, doing it in Beirut, doing it in Damascus, that's needlessly provocative and we shouldn't do it. But Netanyahu has wanted to do it anyway.
Get Netanyahu out. Israel, you gotta act. Look, the Israeli population, you've got to find a way to call this election through your leaders, obviously. But if you don't find a way to call this election and get Netanyahu out, you are declaring to the world, we love war. We definitely started this war. Don't talk to me about October 7th. That was 10 months ago. Israel bombed the capitals of Syria, Iran, and Lebanon. That's starting a giant war in the Middle East, let alone the fact that you've been doing the occupation for 57 years. If you're this vaunted democracy I hear about, well, get a control of your lunatic leaners and vote them out. If you don't come crying to America and say, oh, well, we started a giant war. Why don't you fight it for us? I hope to God our politicians one day gather up the courage to say, hell no, you go fight your own goddamn war. You want to start a war? That's your goddamn business, not my business. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.